Welcome to Book 1. Congratulations on finishing the Alif Ba. We are only going to cover the grammar topics in these videos. So, in this first video, we are going to cover Al-Mu'annath wa Al-Mudhakkar, the masculine and the feminine. The masculine and the feminine. You know the Arabic nouns and adjectives, of course, are always either masculine, mudhakkar, or feminine, mu'annath. But what you may not know is that there are two categories of nouns in Arabic, and it's very, very critical to distinguish between them. These two categories are human and non-human. Another important fact to remember about the masculine and the feminine in Arabic is that the gender of adjectives, pronouns, and verbs must agree with the gender of the nouns that they describe. If that sounds kind of confusing to you, you're not alone. So let's take a look at the rules of gender agreement again. Here we have the sentence, صديقتي طويلة وهي تلعب التنس كثير, which translates to, my friend, she is tall and she plays a lot of tennis. Notice is in italics because is not actually written as a word in Arabic. It's simply implied in the sentence, and the reader knows that the word is there when we translate it based on the structure. So now let's go back to the Arabic. Here we have صديقتي. And we know, because of the ta here, that it is feminine. Because remember, the ta marbuta, this letter here, when we add something to the end, like the ya here, when we add a suffix, changes to a ta and is pronounced as ta. So صديقتي is feminine, and it is a noun. It is the subject of the sentence. It's a main noun. So all of the words, the adjectives, pronouns, and verbs which describe صديقتي must also be feminine. So the next word that we have in the sentence is طويلة, meaning tall. And you can see that طويلة is feminine because it has the ta marbuta, and it's referring to صديقتي, my friend, she is tall. Then let's look at the pronoun هي. هي, meaning she, is a pronoun, and it's referring back to صديقتي, and therefore it also has to be feminine. And then she plays, so we conjugate it تلعب for the female conjugation, again in agreement with the noun صديقتي. And then التنس كثير doesn't directly describe her, so al-tennis is not changed into, it's another noun, and it's not changed into any masculine or feminine conjugation. It's simply masculine alone, and then kathir, again referring to al-tennis, is masculine because it's an adjective. Now let's look at the masculine equivalent of the sentence that we just looked at. So the sentence is صديقي طويل وهو يلعب التنس كثير. My friend, he is tall and he plays tennis a lot. So the word صديق, which we have written here صديقي, meaning my friend, but simply the word صديق, which I'm underlining here in yellow, means friend, and it's masculine. If it were feminine, it would be صديقة or صديقتي, as we saw above. Here, it's sadiq, and it's masculine. And the next word that we have is the word tawil, meaning tall. And since it describes sadiq, saying, my friend is tall, it has to agree with his gender. So sadiq is masculine, and therefore tawil must also be masculine. The next word we have is the preposition wa. Wa, meaning and, doesn't change ever to masculine or feminine. It's simply always wa. After wa, we have the pronoun huwa, meaning he. And of course, he is masculine, and it refers again back to sadiq. And he plays, huwa yal'ab. Again, it's conjugated in the masculine, yal'ab, because it refers back to sadiq, and therefore anything referring directly, any verb, pronoun, adjective referring back to the main noun has to agree with the gender of the main noun, which in this case is masculine, so therefore it is conjugated in the masculine singular, yal'ab. Then we have al-tanis kathir, and al-tanis is another noun, it's masculine, and therefore kathir is masculine as well, because it refers to tennis. So once again, in Arabic, gender agreement is very important. So, all verbs, pronouns, and adjectives must agree in gender with the noun that they describe. So if the noun that the verb, pronoun, and adjective describe is feminine, all of these, the verbs, pronouns, and adjectives must be feminine. If the noun that the verbs, pronouns, and adjectives are describing is masculine, then they must be masculine. This is what we mean by gender agreement in Arabic. These rules apply whenever we're talking about humans. But when we start talking about non-humans, and in the plural, there's some different rules, and we'll look at them in the next chapter. Now, let's go back and talk about human and non-human nouns in Arabic. Non-human nouns always follow the gender of the person. Now, what does that mean? That means that if I have a word like sahib, which means friend, I'm referring to a male, and all adjectives, pronouns, or verbs, of course, will have to be in agreement. So, sahib, karib. But if I want to talk about a female friend, I would say sahiba. And you can see here, I have the ta marbuta. I added it to make it feminine. And it will be sahiba kariba. So it simply means that for human nouns, we change the gender of the noun itself, making the noun masculine or feminine, depending if we want to talk about a male or a female person. You can see this again in the word ustadha, meaning a female teacher. So we say ustadha jayyida. And then if we want to talk about a male teacher, we say ustad jayyid. But we remove the ta marbuta. See here. And we simply write the word without it, which becomes ustad, and that is the masculine form. So the noun itself changed because we were talking about a male instead of a female. Now we have the name Muhammad. The name Muhammad in Arabic always refers to a male. So if I want to describe Muhammad, I can say Muhammad Jamil. And again with the name Maha. Maha always refers to a female. So Maha Jamila. Non-human nouns, on the other hand, have their own gender, and that gender doesn't change. So the word for sun, or house, or tree. Shajara, the word for tree, always going to be feminine. The word for house, beit, always going to be masculine. Doesn't change. So here we have the word beit, and then the adjective sarir, so a small house. And now mintaqa, meaning area, and it's feminine, hence the pink, and it is written with a ta marbuta at the end of the word. And we would say to use an adjective with mintaqa, mintaqa sarira. And on a final note about the masculine and feminine, there is no neutral word for it in Arabic. It is therefore helpful to think of all nouns as huwa or hiya, depending on their gender. So you think of sahib as huwa because it's masculine, ustada as hiya because it's feminine, mintaqa, hiya, it's feminine, beit, huwa.